Hello everyone, and I have, since my sulking in the first few days of the patch, where they decided to break the game more than I've ever seen it broken, I have decided to give the game a go. I realised that farming expertise to a certain level is not really that big a grind. I thought it was an impossible task reserved for the ultra farmers, the 10k plus SHD players, and that's not quite true. So, after spending the first few days kind of really not doing anything division-wise, I decided to take it upon myself to, alright, you know what, let's farm a bit, farm for a few days, let's see what we can do. I farmed for a few days and I'm expertise level 12, and honestly, I'd say that at expertise level 10, you're pretty good. And honestly, it's not that hard to grind. It takes just a few days of farming. Yeah, sure, a few hours a day, it does add up, but still, right, it's not the biggest grind. The invis glitch and the trap spam was fixed. Chill out is still yet to be reverted, but I think in the next patch that will be, and besides, the chill out isn't super big. One of my biggest concerns with TU15 PvP was obviously when Yannick came out and said that they weren't going to be exclusively working on you know, major PvP changes, although at the time I took that as fuck PvP. I have since listened to the 1 hour long podcast, you could say, between Rogue Gold, a fellow content creator on YouTube, and Yannick. So he managed to get Yannick for an interview, which was quite interesting, where he was you know, shedding some more light on the issues. So I'm going to put the link to that down below for anyone who wants to, you know, keep up to date with all Division news. I think that one is pretty damn relevant, and he did elaborate on what he meant by that a little better, and it does, you know, help give a little perspective on all things that are happening. I can summarize that real quick. Basically, I think what happened was, he read some of the changes, I say the huge lists of things that people like, you know, Godlike and Viking Dad put through, plus anyone else who contacted them, you know, through the forums and did their own lists. But on PC we had those two. I was making one myself, but once Phase 3 came around and the deltas were just ever present, I just lost hope. And I quickly started going into division or depression mode. But yeah, I think he read these lists and decided in order to meet those demands, they would need a dedicated PvP dev team, which is not what they set out to get, or what they could not get if they did at one point decide that that was something they maybe wanted to go for. Either they didn't have the budget or whatever. I don't really care. The point is, even though we didn't get big PvP changes, just the shield nerf, which actually is quite big, my biggest concern was the corner glitch. That, to me, aside from cheaters, was the #1 issue in PvP, because it wasn't something that bad players would use to get an edge over you. It was something that good players would resort to when under pressure, and I did not want to continue playing a game where people could basically shoot you through walls. I mean, it is akin to cheating. I mean, in any other game. If people, I mean, I even got a clip from a guy, I think Wacky Jackie, a PUBG legend, right? I was watching his stream when he was playing Super People, and he was talking about an issue that was basically slightly different camera angles when you had elevation, and he was talking about like a couple inch difference in perspective. Like, oh, if you're peeking the top of a rock, you could see the other guy's tip of the head, whereas they couldn't see any part of you. And he was speaking about how this was a game-changing issue. And I understand that he's just, you know, a content creator, but that guy, I don't know if he was pro or anything in PUBG, but he was pretty damn big, and he was very well known and a good player. And he's talking about a couple inch discrepancy in perspective between one player and the next. And on Division, you could hide your entire body and your shield behind a wall and shoot through it. I mean, imagine if he had seen that mechanic and was a Division player. He would have quit the game right there on the spot. Bam, gone. Yeah, in Division, it's okay to shoot through walls. So even though that hasn't been addressed in and of itself, the fact that the half shield has been completely obliterated, completely destroyed, means that the only reason you would ever see somebody with a shield would be if they were to corner glitch. And so even though last patch it was like, oh, you're running the C79 scope, change your scope, you're corner glitching, whereas there were some legitimate reasons to run it, like it's clearer to see at range. Well, that hasn't been addressed, but since the shield is so bad, no player in their right mind is going to continue using a shield. Therefore, the corner glitch has technically been fixed. Now, you may still see the odd player with a high damage build, you know, resort to corner glitching as this patch progresses. But it isn't going to be rampant. And my issue with most of these game breaking problems is they become rampant. Around every corner, oh, he's corner glitching. He moves back, corner glitching. Oh, you turn a corner, oh, there's a player there. He's corner glitching. Now he at least has to peek the angle, standing back from the wall to hide like 90% of his body. At which point, you can still sort of jiggle peek them back and forth and you can still get a beam. And with the lowering of the time to kill through higher damage from the expertise, and the fact that basically no one's going to be specking for the armor, and the armor gain that you get from expertise is practically non-existent anyway, the TTK is quicker, and so you can more feasibly kill a guy on a jiggle peek, because it is still a fairly fair balanced gunfight. You cannot hide your entire body unless you are in some very, very specific places. So now that that has been sorted, the PvP is actually really not that bad. There were some other issues, of course. The PvE fire status is still broken. The traps are still broken. But traps, okay, I get it. They are still bad, and they definitely got me the other day a few times. When you know someone's using traps, you can just play range. You can stay out of their 15-meter range. You can shoot and kite back, and even though that's not my favourite strategy, that is one that works. And plus, a player using traps needs to be using rigor or hardwired, both of which cannot achieve pulse immunity unless they go with 2 improvised pieces and 5 maxed out mods, which we're not going to be seeing for a while. Maybe we will see that down the line, but at least for now, that is not yet a problem. And oops, I kind of gave everyone a tip on how to make pulse res without the YAL or system corruption, which is another thing that I've actually been enjoying since I've come back and started to play the game again, is the whole pulse and anti-pulse meta sort of balance yin-yang that is going on in PvP. It's quite enjoyable. Like, everyone's complaining about Heartbreaker. Oh my god, Heartbreaker, showstopper. Like, yeah, I get it. It is a bit obnoxious to fight if you don't know how to fight it. But stick on 3 YAL on a pulse mod, and you're pretty much immune if it's a high rolled pulse mod. Otherwise, you need 2 mods. Or you can run system corruption. And that's another thing that is and I have a very, very crazy build that I'm going to bring to you guys with YAL and pulse res. It is a meta changing, slightly broken build. I say slightly, it's really fucking broken. And so if any of you guys thought Heartbreaker was a problem, wait till you see when I release the gameplay of that video. Everyone's going to be doing that instead. And then things will need to be tuned. I think the shotgun will have to stop working with Heartbreaker, and a certain interaction with my next video, you'll see, is something that will also need to be changed. But yeah, just thought I'd clarify a few things. Expertise can be grinded in a few days, alright, to a decent enough level. You don't need level 20, you just don't. I'm at 12 right now. I'd say 10 is all you need. And besides, beyond level 10, you need a shit ton of exotics. Well, beyond 15, I'd say you need a shit ton of exotics. No one's going to have that. It's going to take forever to farm just to upgrade one piece. So, as for now, the PvP is actually quite fun and enjoyable, and I've had a blast. I'm not going to lie. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. And thank you guys for being here. Just let the rest of the gameplay sort of play out if there's any left. I haven't quite edited that down yet. Just wanted to record the commentary. But yeah, that will conclude it. Thank you guys for being here, and see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Holy shit, man, this gear set is fucking busted. Now, I just want to chime in real quick and elaborate on what I just said. I said, oh my god, the gear set busted, but it isn't really, because, one, the enemy can use pulse resistance and completely remove my damage, unless I'm actively hitting the head, and stop me from stacking. I don't really use a showstopper with this gear set anyway, and besides, my stacks are already, what, like 30% there? So I'm really not even benefiting from the chest piece. I would be better off using a spotter or perfect spotter chest with Memento than I would be using this gear set, as long as I'm not using the showstopper, which you know, quite frankly, just imbalances the build and removes, you know, the skill aspect of it. Even though I'm kind of using foam, and that's, you know, also arguably. But I want to touch on why you should always use foam with Technician in a future video. Just a little short tip, because in my opinion, it's a match made in heaven, and it must be used together. And besides, I don't like people that run full damage. The damage is too high. Let's bring the damage down by forcing hazard protection. It's an RPG game, guys. Remember. If they use red, you use yellow. They use yellow, you use blue. You don't like blue, you use red. And that is the dynamic of the PvP in this game. So get used to it, guys. You're going to be seeing a lot more foam. There's still a player out there with a sniper, though. Somewhere. Let me get my memento stack and dip. Fuck's sake, man. Big shield. I probably could have just shot it, to be fair.